God, what's up to all our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the Geek Nation? You're currently, right this second, now, tuning into the CultPop podcast live stream, aka also known as, spoiler alert, episode 752, where we will review the past week's comics, well, a couple of them, as well as talk about some fun pop culture topics for your listening and viewing pleasure. I'm your host, Johnny Destructo, owner of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street, Philadelphia, PA. A pretty cool shop which caters to nerdy and nerd-adjacent individuals of all shapes and sizes.
Wait, hold on. Did you hit record? I didn't hit record.
I didn't hit record! Too late.
We're live for two people. We can set it up right now. What do you mean it's too late?
All right, fine. We'll set it up right now. Are you up and running?
Yeah.
All right. 1, 2, 3, click. 1, 2, 3, clap. What's up to all our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the Geek Nation? You're currently tuning in to CultPop podcast live stream, aka spoiler alert, episode 752, where we review the past week's comics as well as talk about some fun pop culture topics for your listening and viewing pleasure times two. I'm your host, Johnny Destructo, owner of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street, Philadelphia, PA, a pretty cool shop which caters to nerdy and nerd-adjacent individuals of all shapes and sizes. Except for the poopy jerks who go on and on about jerky, poopy things that collectively make most people cringe. Sort out your lives, stinky heads, then come by the shop. Can you see that I'm winking? Can you hear it?
Wink.
I'm winking as loud as I can. This is the part where Noel writes anything in the script and JD reads it. I'm here to chew some and review comics. Bad news is I'm out of bubble gum because I ate it and swallowed it. Now it's in my tummy tum for so many years. But enough about tummies. Who likes comics? I sure miss me some bubble gum.
Oh. Oh.
Because
friend
feels way too strong of a descriptor. Joining me tonight is one of my fondest acquaintances. Noel, fuck, marry, kill, early 2000s comic writer edition. Jeff Johns, Brian Bendis, and Grant Morrison. You got to fuck one, marry one, and kill one. Which one? Jeff Johns, Brian Bendis, Grant Morrison. Go.
So I was really hoping to hear Brian's answer to this, but I will go. Right off the bat, you got to choose to fuck Grant Morrison.
Right? I thought that was such an obvious. Of course, it's Grant Morrison.
One. So then it's just who you want to, hitch your wagon to for the rest of your life, and/or maybe you could do without. So I thought about it deep and long and hard after
thinking about Grant Morrison deep and long.
And I think I'm gonna marry Bendis and I'm gonna kill Johns.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
because Bendis just seems like he's so snuggly. Like he's at the end of the day, you want to cuddle.
He's also a little bit, just like a little bit more versatile.
Mm-hmm.
Like Johns has one or two things and does them incredibly well. Whereas if you really look at the breadth of Bendis's work, maybe it's a little bit more longevity, married wise. Whereas like Johns is now half foot in Hollywood, maybe wouldn't have that much. Yeah, so I'm gonna marry Bendis, kill Jeff Johns, and fuck Grant Morrison.
We are 100% in agreement here.
I feel like if I was gonna guess, I feel like Brian would swap Johns and Bendis.
Okay,
but unequivocally, I think everyone wants to fuck Grant Morrison,
right?
Everyone.
Yeah,
it's not even a debate.
You're gonna have fun. You're gonna talk about magic. You're gonna talk about alternate dimensions.
We're gonna talk about magic. You just had me there.
You're gonna do so much drugs, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's such a tall, thin, sexy mother. Fucker.
It's not. Yeah, there was really no debate when I was writing out the question. I was just well, obviously, fuck Grant Morrison.
Yeah.
Now there's gonna be some people that might want to marry him.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I couldn't put up with that for like 30 years. You know what I mean? You're in for the long haul with marriage.
I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, as it
were. Anyway, thank you to everyone joining us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If you like what we're doing here, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. The joy of doing this live is hanging out with you guys in the chat room. So pipe up and make yourselves heard, and we'll comment with you. With that out of the way, I feel as though I should tell you we've got letters.
We've got letters?
Oh, we've got lots and 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 letters. Letters. All right, it's one letter. It's called Why the Last Man, and it's from Christopher St. Saucy Goodnight, longtime listener of the show, and other shit. He says, I forgot to check and see if Why the Last Man would be on Hulu first thing in the morning, or if I had to wait for a certain time. Turns out the entire season is now on, so I'm watching the first few episodes while I write this email. Excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. Burps brought to you by Pennsylvania Pale Ale. I do not recommend it. I know Len doesn't like to judge series too early, but after 4 issues, I think Nice House on the Lake may be one of the best miniseries in the last 20 years. Hopefully he doesn't tank the finale, but as of right now, it is really fantastic. Shang-Chi is good, what I've seen of it anyway. I keep falling asleep during different parts. I've tried 3 times to make it all the way through. I might try it again this week, either Wednesday or Thursday. You have paid to go to the movies 3 times so far, and you have yet to see the full film.
Well, doesn't he work?
Or I don't know.
A wild job.
I bet he pirated it.
Well, I mean, if he's got one of those Johns like you do with the
one of those Jeff Johns,
pay a monthly fee and you get to go to the movies as much as you want.
That's true. I have the Regal app, whatever that is.
Yeah, and AMC has one too. But doesn't he have like a odd hours, long hours type of job? Like,
he might just be pooped.
You shouldn't go to the movies when you've worked for 22 hours and or it's the middle of the night. I'm just saying.
He continues, I finished my binge watch of Enterprise. Season 4 was a remarkable improvement over Season 3, with the multiple 2 or 3 episode arcs versus one long arc or a bunch of standalone episodes. The only thing that didn't work is the finale. They leaped ahead like 5 years and killed one of the only 3 characters they gave any development. And that's my major problem with the series as a whole. They focused on 3 characters way too much and abandoned the rest of the main cast. I'm now binging the new MacGyver. Ever notice how much original MacGyver and the Doctor from Doctor Who have in common? I'm just going to pick a couple. There's a whole other half an email here. I'm just going to pick a couple. We don't know the Doctor's real name. We don't learn Mac's first name until the final episode. Doctor hates guns. Mac hates the guns. The Doctor sometimes works with the military. The Doctor carries a sonic screwdriver. Mac carries a Swiss Army knife with a screwdriver attachment. The Doctor time travels. Mac time travels in at least 2 different multi-part episodes. What, really? MacGyver time travels?
I think it was just like thematic. It's not like a part of the story. Like nobody built a time machine, but they had like a medieval times episode or 2, right?
I don't know.
I never watched it. I think with the Doctor comparison with MacGyver, I think it's a funny comparison. Mm-hmm. You know, like not in any kind of like one ripped off the other one, but I think it's totally like a group think in the ether. You know, like we want a character of action that actually is a pacifist, uses his head instead of his fists, and like just going from there. There's only so many tropes. Right?
Is there a character, do you think, called the pacifist?
And it's like
fist.
Yeah. If not, there should be. I feel like maybe that's like a third-rate character, and James Gunn's is super.
Yeah, the pacifist.
The pacifist.
All he does is punch inanimate objects in anger.
And it's played by Vin Diesel.
Mars Comics is in the chat saying, I'll tell you who definitely is a Time Lord, Ms. Frizzle. Was that the Magic School Bus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard that somebody surmised that her bus is actually a TARDIS because the TARDIS can take the shape of whatever you need it to be, and yeah. Same with Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is potentially a Time Lord also.
Brian's also in the chat, and he has a very good point. Hey, where was the link to the live stream?
Well,
that's why he didn't join us.
Maybe if you would have asked at 8:30, that would have been something.
Whoop. Sorry, Bri.
I'm not sorry.
Never sorry.
I'll send it to him.
So anyway, yeah. The letter is out of the way. Now it's time for the comics block portion of the show. We're going to start off with Amazing Spider-Man number 73 from Marvel Comics, written by Nick Spencer with art by Carlos Gomez. We can't tell you a single thing that happens here without spoiling just about every issue that comes out between the time you're reading this and when ASM number 73 comes out. So the solicitation for the comic books come out months in advance so that retailers and customers know what the gist of the issue is going to be and whether or not they want to read it or buy it. So that's why they couldn't tell you anything, because it was a couple months ago and they're like, if we tell you anything, they'll spoil stuff. I'm not sure that's the case. I don't think that really would have spoiled much. So my acquaintance here, Noel, here he is, this guy.
Yeah.
It's a me.
I'm having trouble with everything else. Go on.
He was like, hey, JD.
Well, so I'm having technical difficulties. So is JD. This just happened all at once. So what he was gonna say is that I said, like, JD is the spider guy. I dropped off the book, but I've been checking in here and there. And then there was this whole event with the Sinister War, which essentially was just 5,000 bad guys Spider-Man for 4 issues. And I wasn't exactly sure. The story thread was actually happening in the main book, Amazing Spider-Man, yet the event book called Sinister War that was happening concurrently was just a big 4-issue fight. Literally, nothing else was happening. So it was so incredibly weird the way this was all structured. Like, why is this an event book? Why is this the actual issues? But we finally got to the issue 73 of Amazing Spider-Man, which is after the last issue of this event we're supposed to be reading and enjoying. And they finally revealed some things. They finally actually kind of dropped the hammer as to what Kindred is, or at least this version of what Kindred is, or whatever the fuck. And then at the same time ended up retconning a bunch of stuff from 20 years ago.
That wasn't mentioned recently, as far as I'm aware.
So your mic is doing the thing it was doing before. Yeah. No, was it? You mean recently, as in like people speculating
in this run?
In this run, yeah, it wasn't really mentioned before.
No.
So I read this whole all these tie-in issues and this series, Sinister War. And
is it better? My voice?
No, it's not at all.
Fuck.
I read this final issue. Everything's revealed. Masks pulled off from this character that was introduced almost 100 issues ago with no real answers. At one point, we thought he was Harry Osborn, but a different version of Harry Osborn, which maybe he still could be. The point is, this issue was plotted and paced so confusingly that I had to read it 3 times.
And I still
am not exactly... Yeah, it's totally better now.
Great.
I still am not exactly sure what the fuck happened. So,
let's
talk through this. Okay, this is what I think happened. Okay, so Kindred, weird demon guy, is an agent of Harry Osborn who, before actually dying, set up a bunch of things to make Norman believe he had children with Gwen Stacy. Those children were actually test tube babies, and it was constantly, like they made 18 versions of them or whatever.
Yeah.
This Kindred is okay.
For people who don't know, there was a very controversial storyline in the J. Michael Straczynski run of Spider-Man called Sins Past, not Sins Remembered?
Sins Past, I think.
Anyway, it's the if you're a Spider-Man fan, you know what it is because it's the one where they were like, "Hey, Gwen Stacy had an affair with Norman Osborn in Paris that you never knew about and Peter never knew about, and she was pregnant and gave birth to 2 babies, and then they grew up really fast and tried to kill Peter." It was awful.
I had read this for the first time last year when I was catching up on the JMS run, and I was telling you how much I was loving it, and then finally it just like hit a brick wall with this story arc.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I knew everyone was complaining about Gwen Stacy would never, but via a modern lens, you can absolutely make a case for or have a discussion or a story about how a powerful man uses influence in order to gaslight or take advantage of a younger woman. That is a normal conversation to have, and is actually a really good story point. This story literally does none of that and just makes Gwen hiding an affair.
Yeah.
That wasn't an affair. They take away her agency. They make it just like, oh, she the reasoning for it was you should mention something at some point because you're married. Either way, her rationale for sleeping with Norman was he seemed so sad, and that's a direct line. He seemed so sad, and one thing led to another. Like, what?
Sure.
It's
awful. I hated it.
Written so incredibly terribly, and then it's just like he's got these 2 children. They grow because of the serum. They grow very fast. One is growing older. One has stopped. Either way, it's a boy and a girl. The girl looks very, very much like Gwen.
Yes.
And this is where we land now with Amazing Spider-Man 73.
I have no idea what happened in this issue. There were revelations, but then they weren't revelations. Like Kindred takes off the mask and it's Gwen Stacy, but then it's not Gwen Stacy. It's it's Harry Osborn again.
It's Sarah. So
that's Sarah. Oh, that was Sarah.
The reveal. That's why I had to read it twice. The reveal is not that it's Gwen. It's Sarah, Gwen's daughter with Norman. And then they go through the whole thing. But then while they're going through the thing, she's talking about, that's supposed to be Sarah, not Gwen.
Oh,
but she looks exactly like Gwen.
She even has the goddamn hairband on.
Exactly. It's a plot point from Sins Past. She shows up and he's like, Gwen? But it's her daughter. And then they go back and they make reference to evil Harry Osborn, like back in the 60s, set all of these things in motion to fuck with his father. You have fake kids. I faked my death. I made deals with Mysterio, with Chameleon, with like so much convoluted Machiavellian craziness that he would have to like think I'm 12D chess 20 years in advance kind of thing. It's so wild. But then it still doesn't answer any questions of what is this person change their face? If they do change their face, that's cool. They have the ability to bring the dead back to life and are from hell, right? She was in hell and she escaped and she's been able to like bring a bunch of villains back and stuff. So she's a dead clone who went to hell and is now back to, because wasn't it like an arc ago she literally killed Peter over and over again and kept resurrecting him?
Yes.
This is so weird.
It's fucking just terrible. So I hate it. Glad
you got caught up.
God damn. I didn't realize. First of all, this entire issue, I had no idea that was supposed to be Sarah. I thought it was supposed to be Gwen, but then she changes. But then she changes her face to Harry Osborn, and says, "Call me Kindred." So I was like, "Oh, okay." Was Harry Osborn then just putting on this Gwen Stacy face? Because there's no way it's actually Gwen Stacy. Like, at no point in this book that I believe that's literally Gwen Stacy from the past. So her being, what's her name?
Sarah. So you can see in this
Sarah.
panel, her face is kind of like burning, looking, changing.
Yeah.
I think it's Sarah, but she can make herself look like
Harry
other
or
people.
whoever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she goes right back to Sarah again, I guess.
Mm.
But
oh, and then this little coda, like at the end with Mephisto, like making a shit ton of Vegas puns, and I'm like, all right, we're good. I don't care.
What a bummer. What a bummer.
This run, this is the finale of Nick Spencer's run on the character, on the book. It has been. I really liked the first like 25 issues or so, like a lot.
Oh my God, yes.
And then it just went. It was like in perpetual motion, off of a cliff, and even though so many issues have transpired and so many things have happened, nothing has transpired and nothing has happened. And it just feels like noise. I'm really not looking forward to going back. I was going to eventually maybe go back and read this whole run. Yeah. I'm not. I'm just going to give it up. It's fine.
I will because I'm a glutton for punishment and I'm a Spider-Man guy deep down. And there'll always be a part of me that's like, you know what? Maybe if I read it again, it'll be better. I will. Oh. Private chat. Let's see. Oh, Brian says here. I think there's a lot of stuff in Nick Spencer's run to enjoy. I really liked the whimsy of him being a roommate to Fred, who is the Boomerang. And while you think there's no real character. Hello. You think there's no real character development for Boomerang, but then you find out there is, like, in this issue or the previous issue, he wound up.
They killed him, right?
He sacrificed himself to help Peter in the Sinister War, which is, yes, a lot of noise and a lot of just fighting. But there's a part of me that's such a Spider-Man fan that I'm like, oh, there's Stegron. Oh, there's all these different characters. Oh, this is fun. It's big and crazy, and he's fighting 30 different villains at once. But yeah, overall, all said and done, like, this is such a convoluted mess. And the fact that he pulled this Sarah thing out of his butt at the very last minute without any sort of lead up to it that I can recall at all. Like, I know what Sins Remembered was. Not everybody who's reading Spider-Man right now knows what Sins Remembered is. And I'm not entirely sure that the description that happens explains it entirely well. I don't think that this comic book really explains much. I wound up closing the book and being like, what? I don't know what just happened.
Do you ever... I love fan service. I love reference. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why we're fans of people like Jeff Johns, who's able to kind of recontextualize things, right?
Yeah.
But when something is so in the weeds and impenetrable as this, I wonder, like, who the fuck is this for?
Yeah. Well, it's for me. It's for the guy who's been reading this entire time, but I still didn't like it. Yeah, and I still was like, I'm all right.
But I mean, I think that you can be incredibly referential without being impenetrable and or incredibly convoluted. Like, there is a way to do it, and we've seen writers do it constantly. There's just something about this that irks the crap out of me, and I keep wanting to love it.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely want to love it. There's so much that I said that I liked, but overall, it's just like so much of it is just kind of exhausting. Hi, Brian. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Guys, in addition to the link issue, as mentioned earlier, also I had some problems and I closed down all the Adobe stuff in the background. And then here we are.
Are you recording?
Oh, yes.
Good.
Oh, yes.
For Poops and Highs, you guys want to clap again? Because that's always fun.
No.
Oh.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, clap.
All right.
Ooh, that was a good one.
That was a good one. It's better when we're live. I I also, coming in at the tail end, I also thought this was a whole lot of convoluted stuff and like flashes of things. And I was like, well, I haven't read it since the Sinister War #1 that we reviewed for the show. So I can't hold it against that. I do like the retcon of, oh no, that Gwen Stacy was not with Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was done before. But
we were good for 20 years just never talking about it. There didn't need to be a retcon. Literally one book in the last 20 years has even made reference pretty much to the fact that these twins existed. And that's true. Because everyone was like, we don't really like that. Yeah, it was just we're not talking about it. They were everyone was just like, was that taken care of with Brand New Day? I don't care. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure it was.
Yeah.
But go on, Brian.
I mean, I guess that's about all I had to say about it. There was a lot of stuff that I was like, wait, what's happening? What's going on here? And there is a lot of older stuff, like the Harry Osborn stuff. And I was like, who's the kindred? I thought it was Harry Osborn. It's a different Harry Osborn, though.
Sound like a little old man, like, who's this kindred?
Yeah.
Who's the kindred?
Who's got...
It's Harry, but it's not the Harry Osborn? I don't know.
Also, yes, Noel, since you read this twice, explain all the Harrys to me.
I don't know. Okay, so Norman, first of all, the decision to give them the same haircut is the worst decision in all comic books, period. Because there's no artist differentiates them enough. I think only Marcos Martin makes Norman look different than Harry, or vice versa. Like, whatever. But so.
Oh, I disagree. I'm flipping through the pages right now. At the bottom there, that's totally Norman. That looks like Norman. 2 pages back, that definitely looks like Harry.
That's a Harry.
When he's in the big room and there's a monitor and him and stuff, it's just like, yeah, like that's a monitor. Like that's him talking to him. However, the very next page is Norman on a big monitor talking to them, and it's just
that's true.
It's a visual mess.
You know what it is? Too many monitors. Too many big monitor faces.
So evil Harry from pre-died Harry set all of this up to create fake children. Well, they were real children, but made Norman and Gwen believe that they were their collective children. He did it with Mysterio, Chameleon, and then that Maelstrom guy, the cloning guy that isn't the Jackal. I forget his name. Recorded all this
Mendelstrom.
Thank you. Recorded this apparently real-time conversation with his father from 20 years from now, who would eventually stumble onto this plot. But then died fighting Spider-Man back in the 60s. Died 80s. A hero. 80s? Died a hero. But when he recorded this, he was still an asshole, I guess. So since then, retcon of Palooza, Harry Osborn's alive now, and he never was this evil person. So they make a revelation in here that they find older Harry's body. New Harry finds old Harry's body. And there's like a whole you never came back, or you something like that. So now we don't know this new Harry where he came from, if he came from anywhere. And this is the Harry Osborn from Brand New Day.
Thank you. That's the corpse. Corpse is the one who died in Spectacular Spider-Man number 200 or whatever it was. And he died a hero, and he died in Peter's arms, and there were tears and everything. And that's the corpse that's there. And then this Harry is the Harry from Mephisto's Brand New Day.
What's the line in the book? They say you never came back, or they say you never actually died. It's something like that.
You never came back or something.
Yeah, which I thought was a weird thing to say.
So he really did die.
Confusing thing to say.
Yeah, and then they're trying to do it with visual cues, but it doesn't really work. So if you go 2 pages back, Norman during this whole thing looks to behind him, and there's an empty embryo tube or whatever, and that's to imply that the Harry Osborn he thinks is now his alive son is actually a clone of his older son. Again, had to read it a couple times. This is the worst paced book this week.
Awful so bad, and it jumps around so much that it's nigh impossible to keep up with. Like you have no idea where you are, who's talking. This is awful. So bad. And I hate to say it. I really do. I'm such a Spidey fan. And it really is. I should be ecstatic that they've undone the Sins Remembered storyline. Like, oh, okay, great. That never happened. I can forget it. I can forget it. But the fact that Harry did all of this however many years ago, why? Why did he do it? What's the point? Fuck. And then if this has been Sarah the whole time as Kindred, why has she been presenting as Harry this entire time? For what reason?
I don't know. But it's before people start correcting us, it's Sins Past, not Sins Remembered.
Oh, Christopher says no sound?
Was that from before or right now?
I don't know. It looks like from right now. Or no, from 6 minutes ago. Go on.
I can hear you guys. We can obviously hear each other.
Yeah.
I assume
fuck the audience. We can hear each other. They can just watch us talk.
That's what matters.
It's okay. It's a local problem with you, Christopher, because Dan could hear us fine. Anyway,
excellent.
Dan's the only one we need. We're fine.
Not excellent.
All I was saying is that, to be clear, it's Sins Past, not Sins Remembered.
All right.
I think Sins Remembered is probably just another arc or title.
Some other story of something. Yeah.
But like go back to where it's Harry that's dead but not really dead. Why is there a shot of an ambulance? Go back.
The line where he says, "I never came back," and there's the ambulance. Yeah.
This cracks me up so much. Go to that page.
Where is it?
Go forward.
It's one page after the Harry. It's
this one.
Right
this
there.
one. So I get why they put that there because no. Go back.
Ambulance? Oh,
you're literally on it. Stop there. I get why they put that there because he died in an ambulance with Peter there.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there an old rusted out one?
Yeah,
on the grass?
Like its windows are broken. Like just to show you, this is just the shot of an unused ambulance.
Yeah. Are they implying that it's an old ambulance? It is the ambulance that for some reason never got taken or used again, or like
I don't know.
It's just such a weird fucking choice, and that's just one nitpick of weird choices in the middle of tons of other weird choices. Like the artist was like, "What I'll do is I'll just put a disparate ambulance in a field, and then they'll get it." Like, no, I'm wondering how that got there, not that he died in an ambulance.
In this different reality.
What? Why? Okay, so here is Kindred, who is Sarah. Why is she even bothering with MJ? She's unloading all of this onto MJ. Why?
Wait, right now or the original plan?
No, this entire time, this entire issue is Sarah having a conversation with Mary Jane.
Well, MJ was a part of the original plan, like through her therapist also hypnotized and convinced her that Gwen told her about everything and she always knew. Oh my
God, that's right. Okay, Jesus fuck.
Oh my God, Jesus fuck. That's the correct response because this is so fucking stupid.
I'm getting angrier.
I told you we had to talk about this book.
I can't wait for
to go somewhere. Like
Spider-Man Beyond.
I had to go somewhere.
I can't wait for Spider-Man number 75, 2 issues from now. Can we move on? I'm mad at this. But you know what? I'm so mad at it that I'm definitely going to revisit it someday.
I know. You're the problem.
I can't disagree.
Decades of fantastic Spider-Man stories, and you're like, well, gotta catch them all.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, stop it.
Let's move on. May's book number 1 from Dark Horse, written and arted by Jeff Lemire. A lonely building inspector, still grieving the loss of his puzzle-loving daughter, receives a mysterious phone call one night from a girl claiming it's her and that she's trapped in the middle of a labyrinth. It kind of happens. Convinced that his child is contacting him from beyond this world, he uses an unfinished maze from one of her journals and a map of the city to trace an intricate path through a different plane of reality on an intense and melancholy adventure to bring his daughter back home. I'll tell you, that's one thing I love. That's the only way I like my adventures, or are melancholic. Melancholic adventures.
Kicking
That
a can
happened in
down a
this book?
road.
The first 2 lines of that was what happened in this book.
Yeah.
Yes. His daughter is dead, and he
It
got
is
a
sad.
phone call.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, this
the
could have been
cliffhanger.
like 2 or 3 pages, I feel, could have covered this comic and then gotten into the other stuff. And I would have been more interested.
Yeah, to me, this was the opposite of the last book we talked about, where it was like everything in the kitchen sink at you at all times, and it's confusing. This was one beat stretched out for 40 pages. It was beautifully drawn. It was wonderfully paced, but it was so fine to sit through and sit in, you know?
This should not have been a one. This should not be in issues. This should be a graphic novel.
Yes.
This is not something where I'm like, remember last month when I read that melancholy story about the father whose daughter died 10 years ago and how she wore sweaters and all he can think of is the sweater, but he can't remember her own face. And then he got a call at the end. I can't wait to dive back into that. This would be a graphic novel that I will probably read when all is said and done. This is not something that I want to stretch out and enjoy month after month. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even narratively, nothing happened. Like this was like a 0 issue. This was a.
It was
prologue.
very sad though. Like it was well done. I think I'm gonna take issue with beautifully drawn. Jeff Lemire is not my stylistic choice. He does not speak to me stylistically. I find his work a chore to get through when he's drawing it, but I think the idea is sound. I think, especially having a child of my own now, a 7-month-old child, tales of loss of children hit me a different way. So I do think it is a beautiful story, and it's very sad that, his 11-year-old son
Something like that.
died about 10 years ago. And daughter died.
No.
Daughter
She
died
was 10.
about 10 years ago.
She was 10, and this takes place during the 10th to 11th anniversary.
Yeah.
Because it essentially is like a marker of you've been gone longer than you were here.
Yeah. And he is starting to forget her face. And so that's where all of this thread comes in. This she loved this sweater that had all of these pulls in it. And so there's this visual representation thematically of the unraveling thread from her sweater, which is just beautiful. I think it's a lovely book, and I can't wait to read it all in one go. But as an issue that's supposed to bring me into the second issue, this is not something I want to enjoy month to month.
Yeah, the stuff right at the end was some interesting visuals, right? With he sees a vision of her in this, what I'm guessing is like a ground level view of a maze. But I do like the art, but there was a lot of sepia tone and like lightly sepia tone stuff throughout this that, as I said earlier, like I think could have been mostly compressed into a few pages to get the sense of who this person is and what his loss is, and then get into the stuff that is coming in the book there. Whatever super realistic element there is.
It should be noted too, this was an oversized issue.
Yeah, there's a lot of issue.
Yeah, this was a $5.99 like 45 double-sized issue.
It was a quick read though, I thought, in that there weren't a lot of words. Right.
Yeah.
And he does do this one page which has something we've all noted before and not liked, where they split up a panel, or kind of just to put panel lines in between something.
Very Mike Diodato.
I'm okay with it if there's different things happen. So like I came across this, I wish I remember the book that did it, but they did that where they took a wide angle or like a wide angle lens panel and split it up. But when they split it up, they had the text boxes or the dialogue boxes do different things in each one. So it was supposed to be, there's no active motion yet. It is kind of like a transition of scene. So it was fine.
Yeah,
Diodato literally just fucking rocks a grid
right
in the middle of this page.
I guess that's what like I think all of us really like it sometimes, and then find that like a lot of things like that, there are other people that do it that are just kind of doing the motions of it. The one that I'm talking about, it shows him going down the street, and then on the right hand side, it's like a full page of him going, and then on the right hand side, there's 3 different things. That's the one. And I think this would look better if it was one full, 3-panel length thing, and then 3 separate panels. I think it would be a much more interesting page to look at also.
Probably.
Yeah, there's no reason for that left panel to not be one panel.
Right.
Agreed. I think I just read over it. I was going through, like, there came a point about midway through that I was going through this so quickly because the dialogue wasn't really teaching me anything or getting me there. And then it was a very drab book. I really, really liked most of Lemire's blocking and layouts, but I just hate his faces.
Okay.
Everyone looks like a Rorschach test of a human.
Yep.
I'm just not a fan of it. But every scene and every kind of setup is really nice, like really, really nice. And I love the transition between, the dream world and his ordinary life and the use of color. It was, the pieces of work really worked. It just was, I don't know why this was in issues, and I don't know why it was double sized.
Oh, there is something on the last page, something that I just noticed. We even can't quite see it because of the banner at the bottom. But speaking of what Noel was saying, the well done pages, the previous page, his shadow becomes like this line, this unraveling line there.
Oh yeah, there's
cool.
A bunch of little things like that too, where if you go back to the panels that you mentioned where they split him in half, the panels are bleeding into almost like maze pieces at the top and the left. Yeah, see?
Yeah, the top left, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't see that as a maze piece. That's a good point though.
They do he does a lot of little like flourishes and stuff here. Where Jeff Lemire is super talented, but I've yet to read any of his modern stuff that just blows me away. Most of the time, it's just like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then that's it. But there's people that pray to the altar of Jeff Lemire.
That must be nice for it.
I'm definitely going to read it once it's finished. Let's move on to Dead Box #1 from Vault Comics, written by Mark Russell with art by Ben Tiesma. Welcome to the town of Lost Turkey, where the main source of entertainment is a cursed DVD machine that seems to know more about the fate of its citizens than they do. So this is a pretty classic. As soon as I saw the cover, which I'm holding up now, Dead Box #1, I didn't quite realize what it was, and it's really just a red box. If anyone doesn't know, red box is after the what's the word? The extinction of the Blockbuster video stores. They started to have these things called red boxes out front of like CVS's, Rite Aids, Acme's, where have you. And you can just go in and it's filled with DVDs and it's all digital and you boop, boop, boop. I want to watch, Milkshake.
They still have them.
What a great movie.
Milkshake.
Milkshake.
And you get a pretty scratched a copy of it and you take it home and it skips a lot. Looks like a red TARDIS, says Mars. Yes, it does. I thought, isn't that cute? Red box, dead box. Sounds like a Shudder or a sci-fi horror movie. And it kind of is, actually. I'm not entirely sure what I read, other than there is a woman who works at a store that has a red box. It's called a dead box, a red box. And there are movies. It's populated with movies that no one's ever heard of before.
Like Milkshake.
And like Milkshake. And her father is dying. We don't know what of. But it starts to divvy up the story between this woman watching a movie and what the movie is about. What did you think, Noel?
So I'm a fan of Mark Russell. He tends to subvert expectations while also being very, very cliched at the same time. It's parody, but he does it without winking at you. So the idea of him doing an anthology horror book, I thought was kind of funny. But then when I read the premise of people rent these movies and the movies are haunted, I was like, okay.
Oh, the movies are haunted.
Yeah.
That's not clear.
So no one knows what the movies are. They rent them. They make a couple of references to people that have and haven't seen it. And then the father is suffering from some mysterious illness. But then at the end, they reveal what he looks like, which is just disappearing, emaciated. And they reveal that he rented and watched a movie called The Vanishing Man. So whatever you rent and whatever you watch is essentially what you're haunted by or what's going to happen to you. They become like these precursors. What's interesting is that the movie that our main character watched had to do with communicating with a civilization 200 light years away, choosing to send somebody, but they would be in travel for 50 years because of the way that space travel works, but then not taking into account the 50 years of isolation, turning him into a fucking Neanderthal, which is an allegory for what she's going through, where she is now stuck at home with her father who is dying of a mysterious illness, whereas her actual aspirations were to go back to school and thank you. Her actual aspirations were to go back to school and actually live her life and not be stuck in this town that doesn't even have Wi-Fi. So it's using the trope of these fake movies as metaphors a la Tales from the Crypt or EC stuff. Yeah, I think this was really fun. I liked it a lot. Yeah. But it's
Brian,
totally not for everybody.
Excellent.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have the chance to read this one, but I'm glad that I heard you guys talk about it. It sounds like something to read.
See, now, that was not clear to me, Noel. The revelation of the father and how he looks like a zombie didn't really, I was like, is he supposed to be vanishing? Because he doesn't really look like he's vanishing. He just looks like he is very emaciated and sickly. Whereas the vanishing man is a man vanishing. So I wasn't entirely sure if that's what I was supposed to be taking away from that. It just looks like, okay, well, he doesn't look great.
I immediately thought of Thinner, something like that, where it's like, it's not explicit one for one what happens to you. It's more of like, you read a
metaphor. Kind of thing.
So like he's disappearing. Who he was is disappearing, and he's just becoming an emaciated dead guy. And she is going to be like, if it's to be understood, then potentially a seal. So what I don't know is how this story is structured. Is the next issue going to be just anyone else renting a movie, or are we going to follow her on how it's going? Like, it might be an anthology. It doesn't mean anything if it's the issue cover is a monkey picking a book.
I bet it's where a monkey rents a movie.
Well, it's renting a Dead Box movie,
But called. I wonder
Banana.
if we'll actually get to see. So like the movie she watched is obviously it's a metaphor for what her demise is going to be, which is being stuck in your hometown and just fading away and dying, becoming something you don't want to be no matter what. I don't know. I thought it's smart-ish horror. I liked it.
Okay. Yeah. No, I enjoyed it as well. And it had my favorite quote that I've read all week.
Oh. Did you read a book of quotations earlier in the week?
All week long.
The downfall of civilization will be its willingness to defend stupidity as freedom.
The rest of that quote is really good too.
One doesn't explain the circus geek by arguing over whether or not he should be free to bite the head off of a chicken. In fact, such a debate serves only to distract itself from the real question. Why does he want to bite the head off a chicken to begin with? A society that cannot tell the difference between freedom and stupidity may or may not remain free, but it will surely maintain its commitment to stupidity. Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
I think it was they attributed something to Kierkegaard in the so if anybody doesn't read Mark Russell's comics, they're often on the surface high concept silly. But you'll be reading it and it'll be literary references and allusions and metaphors in the middle of this really weird silly. I've always appreciated it, and Brian, you should maybe read more of his stuff because I think you would really enjoy it.
I've liked everything that I've read of his. We did a couple of the Super Gods a long time ago, and the Billionaire Island I thought was good. Not Super Gods.
Wonder Twins.
No. That sounds
great.
cool, yeah. What was the one where...
it's...
Second Coming?
Yeah, Second Coming, which is still going on, yeah.
Super Gods was the Grant Morrison book. Also really good, but very different.
Oh, wait. Hang on. Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Oh, okay.
Fuck, Marry, Kill. Do you know how this game... Brian Lieb. There's a game called Fuck, Marry, Kill. I give you 3 names. Mm-hmm. You tell me who you would fuck, who you would marry, who you would kill. The 3 names in question are Jeff Johns, Brian Michael Bendis, or Grant Morrison.
Bendis is out. Let's see. Are we talking about their...
Wait, Bendis is out, meaning you would kill him?
He's gone.
Oh.
I mean, I'd rather not, to be honest with you. I don't want to kill anybody.
Look, it's a binary choice. There's no like a round where I would actually just put him on the side. No, you have to pick fuck, marry, and kill.
I know. But are we to interpret this as like you can read their comics a little, or just surface level?
No, you have to marry one of them in real life.
Actually, really do
have
that?
sex with one of them, and you have to murder one of them.
Oh, I would marry Grant Morrison out of the 3 of them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think Grant Morrison. So Jeff Johns, I feel like he writes really good, satisfying comics, or he has written a lot of them. Whereas Grant Morrison, I feel like would be a better partner for me in life. You know, I think our way of thinking, from what I can tell.
I mean, I interpret it as I'm making this choice of what to do with the individual based on their body of work.
Yeah.
Not their personalities.
Personally. JD made it quite clear.
Yeah. But I feel like it wouldn't change for you.
No, it probably would, but it would be a harder choice. Like, I think when it comes to it, Jeff Johns does some really solid comic booking and like retconning, very satisfying and great stories. My favorite all-time crossover, I think, it's at least way up there, Blackest Night. Not, the event. Flash runs, all that kind of stuff. But Grant Morrison comics, whereas not always as reliably good, are more special, I think. They're more interesting.
So both JD and I translated that more special you're talking about as excellent one-night stands. So we were both like, let's fuck Grant Morrison.
Interesting. Interesting.
I don't always want a magic trick. Like I kind of also just want stability and sustainability. Yeah,
stability would be nice too, right? But the highs and the lows of Grant Morrison, I think I'd...
Oh, so you just like abusive relationships? Are you...
Who's doing the abusing?
You're being abused by his manic eccentricities.
Oh, man. That sucks. Because then I do have to suffer through like the recent Green Lantern run in order to get All-Star Superman. So yeah, it'd be tough.
Those are peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
His comic books are like abusive, right? They're like, oh, baby, you know I didn't mean it. And then he gives you some good stuff, but then he goes right back to like Green Lantern season 2. Let's move on. Army of Darkness, 1979. Number 1, from Dynamite, written by Rodney Barnes with art by Tom Garcia. After his most recent appearance in Dynamite Lives, Ashley Williams is retired. Settle down. Haunted by the Deadites and the Necronomicon no more. Wait, no, that ain't right. None of that is true. Not only is Ash still haunted by Deadites and the Necronomicon, but he's haunted by both of them in the 1970s. Kids, ask your parents. Parents, ask yourselves. And what does he find in the South Bronx of the late 70s? Gangs. And what have those gangs found? the Necronomicon. So, what does that make the gangs? Badass motherfuckers.
Oh.
This was terrible. This was awful. I like Evil Dead. I like Evil Dead 2. I like Army of Darkness. My favorite is Evil Dead 2.
Oh yeah, it's the best one.
And there was a show. There was an Army of Darkness show. Ash versus the Army of Darkness, I believe is what it was called. And it was
Evil
on
Dead.
Stars. Evil Dead.
Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Is it was it Stars?
Yes, it's currently on Netflix.
And I was like, oh shit. Yeah, man, I'm going back. I'm gonna watch Ash do some stuff, groovy baby, and I got a chainsaw hand and King, I'm the kiss the king, give me some sugar. I forget what he says. Anyway, it turns out I don't like Ash very much. It turns out when I was a kid, all of his like misogynistic antics are like they were funny at the time, and now I'm like, you suck. I hate this guy. And I know that's the gag. Noel and I have had this conversation. Like, the show knows that Ash is an idiot. And so did the movies. The movies never painted him as like an actual cool guy who actually had answers. He's always been an idiot, right? So it's just my ability to enjoy someone acting that way has diminished. So, but I was kind of excited anyway. I was like, maybe this will be different. And I don't feel like it really sounds like Ash to me, the way that
No, it doesn't.
The way that he's written here. Rodney Barnes doesn't seem like it doesn't sound right. But the beginning of it was cool. I was like, oh, I see. They're doing the Warriors, but with the Army of Darkness, with Ash and Deadites. Like, oh, that's kind of fun. The idea is sound, but I think the execution left a lot to be desired. It was a little obnoxious, kind of annoying. It just didn't really speak to me. What about you, Noel?
You are correct on all counts.
Oh, thanks.
Cool.
Well, thank you for joining us.
But I kind of liked it. So I also grew up with Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness. Saw worshipped them in high school. It was just, that was the right tone of entertainment for me. But in a modern lens, he's annoying as shit. Like I've grown to dislike the character. But and I've never liked him in comics either. You just can't write that kind of level of stupidity and make it sound right. Like it was something that was very exclusive to Bruce Campbell. Being able to just deliver that stuff with a straight face. When you only read it, it's just like, okay. But I was also very excited about the show. Started watching it. It felt odd and gross because it was the same shtick, but it was in 2017 or 18, and it's like, this doesn't work anymore. It wasn't until they introduced the I forget her name, the female character. Who's essentially a female Ash, to just explicitly show how not only stupid he is, but as a show, they consistently punished him for his stupidity. So it became a Three Stooges sketch, just an ongoing Three Stooges sketch of him just being punished constantly. And it was an enjoyable show. Now, what I liked about this was all the stuff that you said were still like the Warriors vibes was fun. I like the idea of him trying to get a lumberjack job. I just think that's a really funny bit. That's a cute gag. I guess all of these Army of Darkness, Evil Dead comics are contingent, or the only thing that really happens is it sucks him through a portal and he's now in a new status quo. Like,
I guess
that's happened constantly in these like multiple like. Versus the Reanimator, he's just sucked into a portal and that's that.
He doesn't seem too surprised by it.
No, it's just like a status, like an ongoing thing for him. It's just like, Matt, where am I going next? Like Sliders, whatever.
Yeah,
that was a good show.
It was.
Yeah,
it was a good season of a show.
Whoa, there was more than one good season.
True.
But it got pretty crazy by the end. One time they'd completely replaced their cast, and I hadn't seen it in years, and I turned it on, and I was like, "Wait, have I gone through a wormhole?"
Well, it was what made it worse. It was like Jerry O'Connell's brother.
It was,
So
yeah.
he looked kind of like him. Anyway, the voice of Ash in this was very tempered. Rodney Barnes, who has done Philadelphia.
Oh, right.
That's actually why I was interested in this. A local Hollywood writer. I say local because it was Philadelphia-based comic book. Who did something completely tonally different than this before. I was like, maybe this will be interesting. He does not have the voice down. He tries to temper it and make it less machismo and less sexist, but it still doesn't work. They try and make Ash simultaneously the most competent person and the most ignorant person in any given scenario. And it just does not work on paper. Yeah. Like he's either a buffoon who just fails upward, or he is the most adept at killing evil, period. But you can't do both in the same breath and have it feel organic. That's the problem I had with this book.
Also, look at the top right panel.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, he's got a chainsaw on his arm. Look at the bottom left panel. Oh, he's got a hand on his arm.
Oh, the guy took his chainsaw.
Oh, yeah.
So
but he doesn't have a hand. That's why he has a chainsaw.
In other media, he has gotten his hand back. The chainsaw is just a chainsaw.
But on the next page, it's gone.
Oh, he's got. Is there a stump?
Yes, there's a stump.
Oh, then they suck.
You know, I never saw any of the. Yeah, there it is. How are they holding him up by that? Another good question. I never saw any of those movies, the Evil Dead or Army of Darkness or Evil Dead 2. I was always sort of a little interested. So I loved Briscoe County Jr., which was a thing that Bruce Campbell was in back in the day. That was awesome. Yeah, like kind of steampunk sci-fi western. Before I'd ever heard the term steampunk. So I always thought Bruce Campbell was cool, but I haven't really seen many things with him in it, and I knew about this, but I wasn't really drawn to the vibe of it, I guess enough to see it. So I read this comic. I had no idea what was happening other than knowing, the broad strokes of who he is and what his deal is.
It happened.
Yeah, it did. I read this comic. Review closed. It was fine. I don't know what he's supposed to sound like really, but I'm not surprised to hear that this isn't it. Given, I know Bruce Campbell's a fun guy to be on screen, and I could see it being hard to capture here. And so I had no real interest in reading any more after this one.
I do like that there's a scene here where he's going after the Deadites and he's going, "Do you feel lucky, punks? Well, do ya?" And then he goes, "Take that." And then he seems to be running out of things to say. So then he just goes, "Where's the beef?"
That is funny.
There's some solid-ish stuff in here. I don't know. And the whole climax at the end of the idea. This is deep in the weeds when it comes to whatever mythology or continuity there is in the Evil Dead and Army of Darkness comics, where his blood precipitates little mini evil versions of him. I'm like,
wait, is that a thing that has appeared before?
Oh yeah, in Army of Darkness. Yeah. He fought tiny little versions of himself with pitchforks and stuff.
But these are not him, right?
They are manifestations of him as cops, which I didn't really.
I don't understand why they're cops.
I think the 70s of it all.
Sure, there's cops in the 70s, I guess.
There were.
The dichotomy of the street toughs and the gangs, and then they're enemy of the cops, and he's the man in this instance, I guess. I don't know. I didn't really get it.
Yeah, I didn't get it either.
Forgot about it until you.
I definitely didn't.
Yeah.
But well, what a bummer.
I'm pulling this series, so I'm gonna read it all.
Well, let me know. Maybe it gets better.
Maybe.
Maybe. Is that it?
Last Flight Out was an interesting book that we could talk about really, really fast.
I
didn't
didn't
even
read
get a
it.
chance to read it. Did you get
I read
the
it.
chance to read it, Brian?
I got the chance and I took the chance.
All right,
Yes.
great. Last Flight Out, #1 from Dark Horse, written by Mart Guggenheim with art by Eduardo Ferragato. I have to clear my throat. With
Are you going to wrap the rest of it?
With Earth rendered uninhabitable, humanity is chosen to evacuate to the stars. However, with just 24 hours left until the last ark leaves forever, its designer's estranged daughter goes missing. Can he find her before time runs out and repair the relationship before it's too late? Family, fatherhood, and the hunt for forgiveness shape this thrilling apocalyptic tale. Was it thrilling? Were you thrilled, Brian?
I wasn't thrilled. I was.
Oh.
Although I wouldn't have said I wasn't thrilled, because that has its own connotation.
Yeah.
But no, it was fine. This cover art is nice, with the title kind of being in the dimensions of the thing itself, like the credits to the movie Panic Room from the early 2000s, which I don't think was the first to do it, but it was well done. No, I didn't think there was anything particularly original or interesting in this. You know, it's like the daughter. So there's these arcs leaving the planet because the planet is going to become uninhabitable, and this is the last one out. And there are people who are like, I don't believe the planet's going to become uninhabitable, so I'm staying. So the designer of it, his daughter, estranged, as the thing said, and he's got to go. She is much older than that, than she is on the cover. She's like an adult by now, I think.
Course of the book is 25 years.
Yeah, okay.
So she grows up to be a 25-year-old.
Yeah, and has either decided not to join or is in some way being held back. So there's this group that goes to get them, and it starts off poorly and presumably will be difficult throughout. But there could be some cool stuff coming in this, and I do like the art, and I like the sci-fi elements of, like, that is awesome. This ship design, and like the next window out is 68 years later, but the planet is supposed to be uninhabitable in 6 years or something.
6
so
or 7,
something might happen with that. There's interesting stuff, but overall the story, I don't know. It wasn't anything that I was really like shocked by. What do you think, though?
I thought this was fantastic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
it was fantastic. The specific story motivations and the character beats are just, they were original. They were effective. So the whole first third of this book is throughout the years him consistently neglecting his wife and his child over and over again, to the point where you hate the character. But then halfway through the last arc, they have to get going. He reaches out to his daughter. His daughter's ghosting him, and he's like, I have to go get her. And, all these important people are like, why? He's like, I intentionally made the decision to not be there for her in order to do all of this. The point of it was to get her back, or to get her safe. That's it. It was this really, really great character moment. Like, I really, really like it when a writer or a comic will intentionally try and lose the audience and then pull them back, which was a really cool trick. And then also, too, the way that this ends with the big old helicopter crash, the dichotomy that they introduce of these elite special forces army dudes do not want to be there, do not think this person that they're supposed to go save is worth them dying on a dead planet.
Yeah.
And you watch this guy execute one of his
team.
Yeah, a member of his
Yeah.
team, because they broke his leg and he can't do anything about it. So you don't know who to trust. And in the middle of it is this scientist who's just like, I have 22 hours to find my daughter in war-torn Chicago. And no one around him is trustworthy. This is just ripe with all kinds of great tension. I really liked it a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah.
Maybe I'll give it a shot.
This is definitely a movie. I would
Yeah,
not be
I can see
surprised
that.
if this is going to be a movie or some shit. It was just a really good comic though too.
Nice.
Mark Guggenheim. Yeah.
Yeah, usually I love him.
Always consistent. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he wrote. JD, do you remember when Bart Allen was briefly the Flash
Yes.
a while ago?
That was Guggenheim. Yes.
Yeah, the good parts were, and I think he came on like partway through, and it was awesome. And I've liked him since then. And
yeah, I think the start of it was like Will Pfeiffer.
Actually, the start of it may have been Bilson and DeMeo, who wrote the Flash TV show. I could be wrong about that. They did some Flash comics around that time. The Flash TV show with John Wesley Shipp from the 90s.
It was during. No, I think that comes after because it was Infinite Crisis where they swapped. They essentially did another legacy of the Flash. Where Wally was taken off the board and Bart was upgraded. And that first series of Bart was either Guggenheim or Will Pfeiffer. Who doesn't write comics anymore?
I remember not liking it.
Anyway.
The beginning part, I think, was Pfeiffer, because then Guggenheim took over with an issue that had one of those, all of the characters' costumes in a line as he's run, which especially works for the Flash. And that issue was great. And then it went from there and was pretty good. And I think that was Guggenheim's first issue back then. Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Hey, did you guys watch What If?
I watched it, but
Tough. We're not going to talk about that here. We're going to talk about patreon.com/Johnny Destructo. If you want to help the show out, you can go there, patreon.com/Johnny Destructo. I think I'm going to start like a new tier on Patreon where like I make a new sticker every month and I send you a sticker. I'm gonna maybe I'll do that. We'll see. But if you don't have any money,
of us, JD.
No.
Oh.
More interesting things.
Just me.
Just me.
Oh.
There are other ways to help the show. If you just come out and hang out with us, hang and chat with us. You can tell your friends about it. You can tell your mom. You can write a letter to Santa.
Is he not already? Is he not a listener? Is Jesus not a listener of this show? I thought
Santa.
so.
Well, Jesus, hang on. Jesus is always listening.
Oh, word. What's up?
Oh no, no. I said Jesus, who is a tiny little voodoo doll that I made of Jesus. It's made out of cheese, and he's up on my desk.
It's a voodoo doll of Jesus.
Yeah.
What do you hope to do?
It's not only is it not sanitary, it probably smells like.
It does not smell good.
No, I think that's part of it. That's part of it working. So patreon.com, was that covered?
Yeah.
I guess it was. All right.
And let's see. Mars says, I think my dislike for the character kept me from getting into it. Oh, so Mars did not like Last Flight because of the shitty character that we were just discussing.
Wait, was he talking about Last Flight or?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
because
when you comment, if you can add any context sometimes, because we don't get them until after we're talking about something. So I thought you were talking about Evil Dead still or Army of Darkness. Still.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Plus, if you put up something I agree with that, we can put it on screen whenever to make you agree to whatever we desire.
Like this one. Where are we?
Here we are.
We're right here.
Yeah.
We've been with you in your heart this entire time, Christopher St. Saucy. Good night.
Also on your shoulder.
And
in your pocket.
So What If happened this week, and then Why the Last Man dropped this week. And
Did you watch it?
I watched the first 10 minutes.
Oh, how were they?
And what else? Oh, there was a new trailer for Hawkeye.
Yes.
Hawkeye.
Oh, well, well, I put in the note. There's 2 trailers I think are totally worth talking about.
2 trailers.
You made notes?
What was the other?
Yes,
trailer?
I made
Was it the
notes.
Matrix? Was it the Matrix 4?
I spent time on this garbage. Yes.
Trailer gutter talk. Trailer reactions. Hawkeye and Matrix Resurrections.
Oh.
So I was just setting the stage. I was just telling them like a bunch of things happened, and then we're going to get into the nitty gritty. So let's start with Hawkeye. I'm so excited about Hawkeye. Ever since I heard that it was coming, and I knew that Kate Bishop was going to be a part of it, I was very excited, and I was also excited because I knew it was going to be pulling from the Matt Fraction, David Aja My Life as a Weapon miniseries. That is probably the best Hawkeye series of all time. And just the trailer dropped today, and I was very, very excited. I think it was a very good trailer. I like the Christmas theme to it, and I like one of the scenes is directly from this hardcover that Noel is showing you, with the trick arrows and everything. I cannot wait for this show. What did you guys think of the trailer, Brian?
I thought it was cool. I'm interested. I feel about Hawkeye about the way I do about Black Widow, where I'm like, all right, if they're going to be around, I'll watch whatever they're doing. But I'm not, I'm not like raring to go for these characters in general.
You notice I was just talking about Kate Bishop.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
I'm not excited for a
Right.
Jeremy Renner Hawkeye show.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the dynamic between him and Kate Bishop taking over eventually.
That does look like the fun aspect of it. I mean, I think that's the whole show, but that's good.
You guys hate Jeremy Renner's?
No, I don't hate him.
Hawkeye?
No,
not
neither of
at
us
all.
said that.
No.
That was the context that I got from. I didn't say I was excited about Jeremy Renner.
Oh, that says a lot about you, Noel.
But I also don't hate him. He's fine. He's there. He's fine. He does not bring any pathos to the character. He has never made me feel anything on screen. Jeremy Renner as an actor, but he's fine. I like that he has a family. I like the family that he has. It was sad when they disappeared, but
I was sad.
I don't find him a particularly compelling actor who's able to make me feel emotions. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's a shame. I've liked him since The Hurt Locker. I think he's
I never
great.
saw that.
That's a wonderful.
I didn't know
movie.
he was in that.
He got an Academy Award nomination for it.
I don't pay
Yeah,
attention
he's
to that.
Greg Locker that the movie's named after.
Oh, and he's like his nickname. He's Hurt. He's the hurtest guy around.
It's when he feels bad, he goes and stands in lockers.
And that's why he was named that. It's because he was named that. Yeah,
it's a really, really good movie.
That sounds like fun.
I disagree. I actually really like his Hawkeye, and this whole trailer felt like it had like hardcore Die Hard vibes. I was down. Like it was it was
those movies.
Christmas time action movie. What the fuck, Brian?
I mean, they're okay. I mean, they seem like they were good, but
So tell me more
Thank
about
you.
the Die Hard movies, Brad.
No, I like a Christmas time action, and then also like it's got the holiday film trope of just got to get home for Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a lot of.
Christmas.
This looks like a giant melting pot of genre tropes.
Yeah, it
And
felt
I'm
mostly
totally
like
down
I think,
for it. Totally down for it.
planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah, it's all holiday movie tropes and action movie holiday tropes. Like if you told me Shane Black was kind of one of the story editors for this, and I'd be like, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Makes sense.
It's all the things, yeah.
Was the part from that you referenced, Judy, the part from the comic, was that when they shoot an arrow and she's like, that wasn't the dangerous one?
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
No, I would like to clarify, though. I don't have an issue with Jeremy Renner at all. I think Hawkeye, the character, is not somebody that I'm like, ooh, I got to see something about Hawkeye.
I must be remembering all of his great setups
Hawkeye?
incorrectly.
I think the only really good Hawkeye scene is the one where he's talking to Scarlet Witch during Age of Ultron. That's the Hawkeye scene for me.
I like when he says, yeah, I've got a suit in the Avengers movie. That was pretty cool.
When does he
was good.
say, yeah, I've got a
it's
suit?
cool. It's actually, I think about that scene semi-frequently when Steve Rogers is like, do you have a suit? He's like, yeah. Okay. You know, like when they're all putting on their superhero costumes and he's like, yeah, I got one of those. Like, I like him in the role. And like I said, like Black Widow, I enjoy a lot of Black Widow moments and I enjoy a lot of Hawkeye moments. But, you know, if there was never a Hawkeye solo thing, he wouldn't be on my list of characters you've got to have a solo thing of.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think it looks great. I can't wait.
Yeah, I was very excited. As soon as it was over, I was like, ooh, wait, I got to go back and see when that releases.
The part in the trailer that I'm hoping, like, you know, every once in a while there's like a 1 or 2 seconds in a trailer where you're just like, now I'm in, I'm sold, was when he caught the Molotov cocktail and threw it back.
That was cool. Yeah.
For some reason, that is the most, the other one. You gotta do the other one.
Why is it so tiny?
Because you're doing
I like
the
him.
wrong
He's like a
one.
little guy on your shoulder, like we've talked about several times this episode.
You're doing the wrong one.
Hey,
Hey.
there we go. There he is.
What a
This is
positive
the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Turn it off. Yeah, that's the one. That's my favorite. Yeah, that was my reaction after I saw him catch a Molotov cocktail. This is excellent for the listening audience. The fact that you're rolling through gifs. Yeah. Ah!
This is my gifts to you.
What did you guys think of? So we're all in agreement on the Hawkeye show, but what did you guys think of the Matrix Resurrections trailer?
I was interested.
Can you?
I love the original Matrix, and the second and third one I was not as into at the time.
I watched them.
Yeah, I liked them, but I was still, I think, like many people, like a different thing would have been better, you know. But I really liked a lot of them.
That's perfect. Yeah, I agree. I love the original Matrix. I went and saw it like 6 times in the theater, and then I went over to Scotland, and it was just coming out over there. So then I was like, I gotta go see it.
To Scotland?
That's why I went.
Yeah.
I gotta go to Scotland and see
He was
it for the first time again.
It was like a touring band. He was traveling with the international release schedule.
Yeah. And you know, the irony of dipshits talking about taking the red pill and sort of also not really understanding it was created
Or
by
being the things that you should escape
two
from.
trans women. And yeah, but yeah, 2 and 3 I wish had been different.
Yeah, like
Yes.
there were parts of it I really liked, but yeah.
I appreciate the sequels,
Mm-hmm.
and I like how they ended, but I dislike the second one with a passion.
Oh, really?
The entire thing is just bloat. It's all fucking bloat. The first one was streamlined and wonderful. The second movie is 2 hours of side quests and cutscenes with like maybe 15 minutes worth of plot that's propelling the main character that you came to kind of find out about.
Remember how long the orgy scene was, like the rape scene?
Kind of thing? Yeah. Or just their time in Zion was long.
The movie was
damn.
So I genuinely think that you could edit the second movie to about 20 minutes and just tack it onto the third one that actually continues the plot.
Oh, and there's also the Animatrix. Have you guys seen that?
That was also better.
Some of those are very cool.
Those are very cool, yeah.
Like the origin of the whole thing. Yeah.
The video game was fun.
The video game was better than the second movie also. It ran in parallel to the second movie and then took you to the truck scene. Like that was the end.
Now, I saw a headline somewhere online. I didn't read the article, but it said the Matrix sequels are better than you remember. And I am planning on rewatching them. So I hope that is true. Because I do want to rewatch them before this.
I did it a couple years ago, and they're not.
Really? Yeah.
I do think a very large part of the problem was anytime that there is something divisive, there's always something that you can own about that. And I do think that collectively we had expectations that were not met, whether they were fair or unfair. Our expectations of it being another, quasi-intellectual, ethereal action movie, and it was this over-explanatory, confusing thing. In addition, that was a subversion of expectations.
I honestly would not say quasi-intellectual. I tried to explain the idea of like, what if all of this that you know is fake before The Matrix came out, and it was very difficult. And now people get that. You're like The Matrix. They're like, oh, right.
It's quasi-intellectual because people understand the concept, but to actually to write papers about it as an intellectual is not. You're not going to get that from just watching The Matrix a couple of times. No,
I'm happy that they brought that idea to a wider audience. I think it's a valuable idea.
The first movie,
our expectations. It was just a subversion of expectations, and to me, it's the first example of toxic fandoms ruining something. They did not have the patience. They did not have the 6 months of patience to finish this, because the movies 2 and 3 came out 6 months apart from each other.
Yeah.
It was May and November. They did not that whole summer was the Matrix movies are fucking bullshit and no one it's all garbage and I'm not seeing
I don't remember that.
I worked in I managed a movie theater at the time.
Me too.
The second one, everyone was just anticipating, counting the hours. The third one was like a wet fart. There was not the same anticipation or just fervor for it, and it was only 6 months later.
Oh, now where I was at, the up round here, it was fervent.
Around here,
the fervor, yeah,
up around here.
here.
No, my experience was that people were by the time that the third one came out, people were apathetic.
But now, hang on a second. What about that? Oh, yes, JD.
I don't understand. People, a movie came out, and most of the people seemed to be disappointed by it.
Yes.
And so then they weren't as interested in the third one.
Yes.
Why is that bad? Well, I mean, that makes sense to me. That doesn't seem toxic to me. It seems like, man, what a huge letdown. Now I don't care about part 3.
It became cool and passe to hate on the second one to the point where it discouraged other people from discovering it and or making up their own minds. It was a forum type of thing. It was the proto-internet version of comment forums that just shat on something that most of them or some of them didn't even see or understand to change the effect of how people may have received the third one. The third one, to me, was always going to be kind of tainted by the fact that there was so much, some of it necessary, some of it completely unwarranted shit thrown at the second one for 6 months that no matter what was going to happen, people were going to hate the third one, or at least convince themselves to hate the third one.
I was still excited for the third one, despite not liking the second.
Guys. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the
No, I know. I'm
energy
moving the conversation forward. I was talking about me. I was saying, I hear what you're saying. My experience was 2 disappointed me, and 3, I was like, this will be the one. Remember Heroes in Crisis, you guys?
It'll pull it out.
This will be the last episode. Just you wait. The last issue is going to wrap it all up, and it's going to be great. And then we walked out of 3 going, you fooled me twice. Shit. But
you know what?
The first one, 100% still holds up. Yeah. Still one of my, probably a top 10 movie. I love the original Matrix.
Yeah. This trailer I'm into. It looks cool. I think we started off on that path to say, well, the follow-ups so far haven't been what we wanted, but there's always another chance when another movie comes out, right? Yeah. And it looks interesting. I like the thing with the blue pill is interesting, that this is like medication that he's on now.
Yeah.
And you don't learn a lot about what's happening in this, but I'm a buzz. I want to know what the deal is.
The thing of I'm not sure what you're referring to, Mars.
I think they're referring to all of the vitriol.
Yeah. The thing that kind of throws me off of the trailer, I love the trailer. I watched it like 10 times. Mars Comics says, but I'll tell you, the more people try to convince me of something, the more determined I am to just make up my own mind. Absolutely. But that's also like, a level of maturity that masses don't always have. Also, too, that we cultivate over years. Like when I was 25, I was not as, forgiving and or mature enough as I am at 35 to give things a chance based on their own merit. Like we are all susceptible to groupthink, Oh, but what I was going to say, the thing in the trailer that kind of made me think this is also going to subvert expectations. The stinger thing at the end where the Jonathan Groff character is like bringing us back to the Matrix where it all started. I feel like there's there going to be some sort of like fourth wall thing and or what's the word I'm looking for? Not Inception, but kind of like the reality of the movie.
Like he's playing Keanu Reeves in the movie.
It's something like that. Like the reality of the movie is in reference to the original movies, not so much a continuation of or both. Mm-hmm. It makes me feel like there's going to be some sort of plot point and or setup that we're not necessarily expecting. Like these are not our versions of Neo and Trinity.
Right.
These are some sort of
Which was
other
part of the original
versions,
story
right?
too, was that there had been, I forget
6.
if this was introduced
Multiple.
in the first one. I don't think it was, but like this had happened over and over.
Yeah.
And so I've wondered if that's part of, or is he a program, or something, who knows?
Is he still the one if it's a different program that's
Right.
been rebooted? Like it's just and the thing about it too is at the end of the third movie he sacrificed himself to save her. It was essentially actually that's what a lot of people hated about the third one. Actually, I thought that's what I liked about the third one. There was no evil being defeated and good guys super winning. It was literally a truce because it was a full codependent relationship between the two factions, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder, is it he died explicitly?
Yeah.
Sacrificed himself, his code, the
Jesus
whole nine.
pose and all.
Yeah, he was like carried off Jesus like.
Gone.
And I think after that in the Jesus story, doesn't he come back?
I'm not familiar with him.
I've heard it whispers.
Not the second time.
Jesus never leaves us.
Oh, that's a good tagline for
it's 'cause
Jesus.
You're literally looking at him right now.
I thought there is a real physics theory that the computational universe, right? That this is all, not that it's literally a computer, but that it runs like a computer. And when Neo was able to control stuff in the real world, I thought, oh, that's what they're going to do. And that would be really interesting. But one thing that I won't say I was disappointed that they didn't do something like that. But, as I have grown as a person and a viewer, I'm like, well, I can't hold it against them that they're not doing the crazy shit that I thought they might do.
I always thought it was so in that third the more wild aspects of that third movie too, like you had the parallel stories of Smith affecting things in the real world and the abilities that Neo had in the Matrix being able to manifest outside of the Matrix. And I think the way that I read it was the further that the two of them got away from their original programming or code and the closer to the source, they were able to like bleed over certain aspects. Like he was able to see code in the real world. And
you could just see it in the machines, right? Like he could just see the machines code. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to see like the code of the real world.
It was almost like sonar. Like he was able to see the absence of them kind of thing. I'm real curious. I want to go back and read them. Yeah. I want to go back and watch the movies again.
I'm definitely going to rewatch them. I have like the big box set, which has all of the movies. It's got the Animatrix. It's got booklets and all sorts of stuff. Yeah,
I think there was a Neil Gaiman short story too once that was on the old Matrix website. If you guys can track that down, it was pretty cool, and it's like 2 pages.
And there was a comic book.
They're all on HBO Max now, too. Nice. If you don't own the DVD sets.
Kids, ask your grandparents what a DVD was.
They won't know either, but you just ask them.
What was the other thing? Oh, yeah, What If Zombies? Yeah. What'd you guys think of this new What If?
Oh, I think it was my least favorite so far. Like, it was good. Yeah. Like, there was... Yeah. I thought also it wasn't really What If. It was What If there was a completely different story. There wasn't a thing that was different. I mean, I know the thing that was different was... Like,
the thing was different was...
What if a zombie virus was introduced? Yeah. Right. Whereas that's more of a
quantum zombie virus.
Oh, I forget.
She gets it from being in the quantum realm.
Exactly.
I like the origin of it. I thought that was kind of cool.
But yeah, overall, I was like, all right, I thought Vision's characterization was a little weird, where it's like, okay, A, he's gonna do this to begin with. B, fairly readily regret having done it and tear the Mind Stone out of his own head. Yeah. And then I think there was even another. There was like another.
If he could have done that in Endgame, why didn't he just take it out himself?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Why put his wife through the agony of having to murder him when he could have just been like, "Badoink."
I mean, it wasn't taking it out; it was destroying it. He can't destroy it; he could take it out.
Sure, he could have just been like, "Here you go,
do it now."
Then
melts in your mouth, not in your hand. Take it.
Thanos would have gotten it. She needed to literally
Unmake it.
unmake
I
it.
see.
Yeah, explode
Yeah.
it. Right. It was never about extracting. It was keeping it destroyed or safe.
But yeah, this was fine. It was cute.
Yeah.
And then the very end, I was like, yeah, all right. As soon
Yeah.
as I saw, yeah, I knew it.
Yeah.
The first two there's 3 episodes in a row now where they're depressing as shit endings,
Yeah.
which
It's how what ifs work. Yeah.
Yeah.
They often do.
But it's also another reason why I don't read a lot of them.
Huh.
Yeah.
But they usually
cool
end with
alternates.
some, like this one has, like a lot of bad stuff has happened, but you've got a new beginnings of an Avengers team. They're going to Wakanda, that kind of stuff. So there's usually a note of hope at the end of what ifs.
And they're going to Wakanda to deliver the last stone to Thanos, undead Thanos, who's already there.
He's in Wakanda?
Yeah.
That was the
Oh, I
stinger.
thought that was I thought he was
inside
just
Wakanda with
somewhere.
the 5 other with all of the other stones.
Yeah.
And he turned over.
I thought that was like
there-
a flash away to just wherever he was.
No,
is
he was in
inside the
Wakanda.
walls.
Definitely? All right.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's also been this one and what the Fury's Bad Week.
Yeah.
Both kind of ended with like, oh, some of the more interesting stuff might be happening after this episode.
Yeah.
So there's that. But they may be continuing it or tying things together. Who knows?
Overall,
It-
really fun series, though. I'm really enjoying
Yeah.
it.
Oh, definitely.
But-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still riding high on the first 2 episodes. I haven't really been enjoying it all that much. Like
What was the
we
second
used
one?
to- The
Star T'Challa. Yeah.
Awesome.
I like Fury's Big Week too. But
I
a lot of
liked
that
it
was the
enough,
end.
but
Yeah.
it was a decline from the first 2, and then it's just kind of like I really liked the idea of the Doctor Strange one a lot, but it just was a little icky. It was weird. Yeah, I don't know. For all the other Marvel shows so far, we are during lunchtime. Block your calendar. We're gonna watch this before it gets spoiled. I mean, what if's been waiting like a day or 2 each time?
Oh, really? Oh, I'm all
Yeah,
about it right away. But I'm also not as concerned about spoilers because it's not part of the overall story.
Fair. It's just
But,
more
yeah.
along the lines of like the anticipation is not building like it was for the other Marvel shows where I wanted to consume it as soon as possible. This one, it could breathe a little bit. Maybe
wonder
that's by
also
virtue of
if-
how it's structured. Maybe it's the quality. I don't know. But
Oh, I
There's
wonder
no,
if the reason that some of these have not ended with the oomph maybe that we would want is that they have talked about something later in the season is something dealing with multiple what if. And I wonder if they have done something different than what if comics are and are going to try to connect these realities, which is something that what if comics never really do. They're just self-contained stories.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that. But if
Yeah.
if that's the case, that some of these slight, I don't know, misfires or slights in general that I'm feeling, if it's a long game for some sort of like cool turn, then I hope it was worth it. Because if it feels like an inorganic turn, I'm just going to be like, all right.
I wonder if
cool.
part of it is that it's animated too, that it doesn't feel.
I don't know. I love
as
animated
much.
stuff. I don't know.
So do I. But it can feel hard to think of them as the same. Like I don't want to say continuity because they are different realities, but they're in overall
I know what
the
you
same
mean.
MCU continuity.
I know what you mean, and also too,
Yeah.
like more so than a lot of shows too. I think the consistency of the animation is pretty on par the whole time. Like all of the fights are very well done. Everything feels like it has weight. Some of the facial acting, especially when characters are talking, is like meh, it's fine. But
The mouths are a little wonky.
yeah, it's the mouths. It's not the eyes. It's not just. And I'm okay with the smooth kind of Uncanny Valley because it's a choice that they made.
And I like it a lot.
But-
yeah, I like the style.
But when their mouths are moving, it's like it's just a little bit better.
I'd heard also that the reason that some of the characters don't look like the actors as much is some rights issues that they don't want to. Yeah. Like, for instance, which I thought was weird, what if Doctor Strange had brown hair instead of his hair color in the main MCU in last week's episode? But Benedict Cumberbatch, that doesn't quite look like him, and it doesn't quite look like Tom Holland. And I'd heard that
Paul Rudd definitely doesn't look like Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Ant-Man.
And I think somebody said, I think this was a quote from somebody there that was like, look, our animators are really good. If they wanted him to look like him, they could have.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was. I thought it was just more of a choice. Because you can,
Yeah,
you can.
No, I think
like a comic book,
Oh, sure. I think it might have been like a payment issue or a contract or something, but it could also be because they wanted to look like that.
They got the voices, but they didn't want to but they drew the line at maybe explicitly giving them a different jawline. I don't know. Could be.
I have no idea. And there's some weird stuff that happens with, the rights to this and not that, and we don't want to pay for it or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I've never regretted watching one of the episodes. I've been enjoying them.
Yeah, me too.
Never regretted it either. It just doesn't have that immediacy that's baked into the other shows thus far. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have to do my FOC before midnight.
Back it up.
So let's get the F out of here.
Right.
I was trying to look up to see if I knew if they would let us know what the next What If issue episode is, but they don't. It's a secret.
It has to do with Killmonger. I know that.
Okay. Oh, cool.
There's a Vision Ultron one coming, right? That wasn't.
That's the last one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Is it the last one? Yeah.
Infinite Vision or something, or Infinite Ultron.
Oh.
There's only 4 left because there's 9 total.
Yeah.
We have not seen the one with Killmonger in it. We have not seen the one with Vision in it. I'm sorry, the Ultron Vision one. We have not seen the one with what's her name as Thanos? Gamora as Thanos.
Oh, right.
And we haven't seen the Tony Stark one. I think there was a Lego set of Tony Stark on Sakaar or something like that. Like an alien.
That does sound
planet.
familiar. Yeah.
Right? So that's roughly what the 4 will be or something like that. That's maybe I want to eat crow and this is going to be the best show of Marvel, but I think it's just nice. It's just like comfort. It's nice. It's a palate cleanser between the movies and the other shows. Yeah. It's just nice.
Agreed.
And that's always kind of what If for me is, when I get a What If comic, it's like it doesn't have the immediacy of the ongoing story of the universe, and it is a little break from some other thing. So, it's true to form in that sense.
Absolutely.
I'm just happy to have the content. I just really enjoy it. But all right, let's get the fuck out of here.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the CultPop Spoiler Alert live stream podcast starring JD, Nolan, Brian. It was great to talk at you, and thank you for hanging out with us in the chat. It really means a lot. It really adds something to our experience because fuck these guys. I'd rather talk to you guys than like the other guys on the show. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just telling you.
You're saying the
inside part
outside.
Wait, you can hear me?
Saying the inside part
I was doing this though.
I was saying the inside part outside.
No, that's the side I'm on.
You're saying the inside part outside.
Oh, I love these guys. Bye.
Acquaintances. Yeah.
Mars Comics says great show, but when is Len coming back?
Not soon enough.
Maybe next week.
Yeah. All right, guys. We love you. We will talk at you later. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.